Hello everybody and welcome back. I am your host Chase Bierenkoven. That is the 2024 Honda Civic Type R and this is the Overrun. I think that everybody knows what the Honda Civic Type R is, but just in case you have missed the last 30 odd years of Honda history, the Type R badge means race, and it really does stand for race. That's not marketing lingo, that's not me being clever. Honda says that this stands for race because this is the most track-focused Honda Civic that money can buy you. And it does take quite a lot of money at about $48,000. But for that money, you do get quite a lot. You get bigger brakes, wider bodywork, bigger tires, better tires, more power, a standard manual transmission, and that huge wing back there. So there is a lot to like here and a lot to go through. So let's get to work. So let's talk design, because there are a lot of very different things about this car from your standard $29,000 base model Honda Civic. For one, there's a very unique front fascia. We have that functional hood scoop, of course, as well as the very special, extremely iconic red Honda badge with the Type R badge sat just next to it. Moving down the side, you can tell that this is also a much wider car. It has big, wide, fat fenders in there to fit these huge 265 section tires with the larger wheels and, of course, the larger Brembo brakes. Now, if you follow me down the side, you'll also see that there are a couple of other things worth pointing out. For one, there's some functional wheel well venting right here, which helps in relieving back pressure within the wheel arch. Nerdy race car stuff, it's very cool. There's also this little splittery thingy back down here, and then it's also wider at the back, so it doesn't have that weird backwards Coke bottle thing going on either. And then, of course, there's what's really very hard to miss. There's this monstrous wing at the back attached to the hatch, and there's also a unique rear bumper here and a very cool looking triple exit exhaust with a rear diffuser and another Type R badge. The biggest thing to note with the powertrain in the 2024 Honda Civic Type R is that this is not shared with any other Civic. This 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine is entirely bespoke to the Type R, and it also makes 315 horsepower and 310 pounds-feet of torque, which is a lot for this segment. The only more powerful vehicle in this segment is the all-wheel drive Volkswagen Golf R, and that doesn't offer this car's standard manual transmission. And this is, of course, front-wheel drive. And there's some added cooling in here, as well as a lighter flywheel that helps this car be the performer that it is. And of course, as is worth noting in cars like this, this is a very real and very functional front hood scoop. Inside the Type R is, of course, also a very, very special place to be. These seats, this color, it's all very iconic and emblematic of Type R models past. These are also extremely comfortable bucket seats. These are so nice, and your driving position is so excellent in here. It's so easy to see out of this car, even with the big wing, because the wing is actually spaced up a little bit so that you don't see it when you look out the rearview mirror, which I think is a very nice touch. Of course, there's also tons of other Type R specific stuff in here. You have the red Honda badge on the steering wheel, red contrast stitching, the manual transmission, of course, and there's also a wireless charging pad, switches for your drive modes, and what I appreciate most is that all of this is physical. Everything in here can be touched and turned, and I really appreciate that in modern cars because nothing feels buried in a screen except for one thing, which I'll touch on during our driving impressions. The back seat of the Honda Civic Type R is mostly just a Civic. There are a couple little things that you get back here that you wouldn't otherwise get in a standard Honda Civic. For one, there's these cool red seat belts that are also up front. For another, there's some nice contrasting red stitching on these cloth seats. The front ones are suede and Alcantara. There's also a little bit of ambient lighting available up in here. That's up front, and really that's about it. Notably, unlike the Honda Civic and the Civic Si, there's no pull-down armrest here. Instead, and I think because this is the hatchback, you just get cup holders here. You can stick another person in the center. It's definitely more of a 5 minutes down the road type thing because, I mean, this is just right up in my junk. But other than that, it's a pretty nice place to be. There's room for 5 back here, and it doesn't really feel like the interior quality drops off at all either. All right, let's talk about the rear hatch portion of the Honda Civic Type R because it is arguably one of the more attractive aspects of this car aside from all of the cool performance stuff because this is utterly cavernous. It also has this very cool little, you can pull that over so you completely obscure the cargo bay, but there's so much room back here. I can actually climb back here, put the seat down, and sit in the rear hatch area pretty comfortably. You wouldn't be able to close this on me, but there is just so much room back here. I fit my mountain bike back here with the wheel on last weekend. It's really incredible what you can fit back here. So believe it or not, despite what the mainstream automotive media would have you think, there are actually a lot of very attractive performance hatchbacks on sale today with manual transmissions. There is, of course, this, and there's also the GR Corolla, which is a good bit cheaper than this. The GR Corolla starts at $39,000. However, and you can spec a GR Corolla up to the $48-ish thousand that this car is sitting at with the paint, but the GR Corolla is a very different beast, and the Honda Civic Type R drives head and shoulders above it, and we will touch on that in our drive impressions. There's also the Golf R, which is, of course, a much more civilized and more powerful option over the Honda Civic Type R, and they are just about the same money. This starts at about $47,000 before options, and the Golf R is about $48,000 before options, and it makes another 10 horsepower. But there's no manual transmission, and of course it's all-wheel drive. And as everybody knows about the Volkswagen Golf family, it's going to be just a little bit more tuned back, a little bit more sedate, a little bit more relaxed than something that is a little bit more on edge. Type R does mean race, and this is definitely more closely competing with the Toyota GR Corolla, which it makes more power than by about 15 horsepower. And with that in mind, I think it's probably about time to get behind the wheel and find out why this drives better than any of those. All right, we're heading into one of my favorite corners on this mountain in the Civic Type R. You can hear our luggage banging around in the back. I don't care, because this car is just so beautiful. I shouldn't even tell you how fast I'm going right now. I mean, this thing is just so silly competent. You can throw this thing into a corner and it will hook up. You pick your apex, you hit it, and then you floor it. And you just let these big 265 section Michelin tires and this magic limited slip differential pull you out. And as you come out of the corner, bang up through the gears, and then get on these big Brembo brakes. Man, these brakes are so good. They've held up so well today. I'm able to put so much pace in this car. I'm having the time of my life right now, man. This is so great. I mean, this car, God, this is what driving is for. This is what driving is for, man. I'm so sorry. I've said really great things about the GR Corolla. The GR Corolla simply does not stack up. And I'm going to tell you why. For one, the GR Corolla kind of runs out of power at the top of its rev band, and you wouldn't know it until you've driven a Civic Type R. And then you realize just how much more guts a turbocharged four-cylinder can have. And it's only 15 more horsepower and just a touch more torque, but boy, does it make a big difference. And then there's the grip. I mean, I thought the GR Corolla had grip. This feels so much more confidence-inspiring. I mean, it's really incredible. My braking zones are like racetrack late up here on the mountain. I mean, I'm so impressed with this diff too. Guys, this thing is great, and I haven't even talked about the manual transmission. I mean, man, the manual in this thing, I say this without exaggeration, best manual transmission I've ever driven in my life. I haven't driven like gated manual Ferraris and Lamborghinis, but I've driven Porsches, I've driven Corvettes, I've driven all sorts of, Corvettes don't have great manuals, you're gonna have to forgive me, I was reaching for another car. The point is that this is the bar. This little titanium bulb right here in my hands, man, this is the new benchmark for every manual transmission I use henceforth. This thing is so good, man, and I could sit here and talk your ear off for another hour about how astounding this car is to drive. Yeah, it's loud on the highway. Of course, it's way too stiff to commute in. You would really suffer if you had to commute more than a couple days a week in this thing. It doesn't matter, dude, because the other however much percent of the time you get to come up and you get to use this thing as a sports car on a back road or go hit the track, it all becomes worth it. The stiff ride, the loud interior, the sweaty seats that are otherwise phenomenally comfortable, it all works, man. This corner's kind of like Spoon at Suzuka. You just let the grip hold you through the hairpin, and then there's a big straight at the back end here. Oh, wrong wrong corner, there's another corner. Kidding. But I made a mistake and the car caught me. And the car's magic differential helped me out there when I made an error. This car is like your best friend on a back road, man, and I have got to cut myself off there because this is my millionth driving take because I just keep babbling on and on and on about this car. Man, all right, we got to wrap this thing up before I get myself into some trouble. Final thoughts. I want to conclude this video by telling you a little bit of a story about 22-year-old Chase. I had finally gotten a real job at a full-time outlet, working for a salary as an automotive journalist, and I took the little bit of money that I had and I went out and I bought myself a 2004 BMW M3. And I adored it. I loved it. It was really the perfect combination of an engaging powertrain, a good chassis, and a good manual transmission, and room for all of my things. And then I got laid off. I had to sell it. I couldn't afford it anymore. It was doing all of the typical broken BMW things on top of that, and I had to let it go. And since then, it has kind of become my white whale. I have been chasing the fizz that that car gave me for a very, very long time, and I didn't really ever think that I would recapture it. Until this. Driving the Honda Civic Type R really does give me that fizz back. It is so engaging, it is so tactile, the ergonomics are so perfect, and I know I waxed and waned about all of this during our drive impression segment, but it should speak to you a lot how much I appreciate all of those things that I'm rehashing it again for maybe the third or fourth time. I've lost track. This car is so good. And despite the fact that the GR Corolla has 2 more driven wheels, a really cool all-wheel drive system, and frankly, an incredible engine, this drives heads and shoulders above the GR Corolla. I know I have said that before, but this really is the king of the mountain for the moment. So with that, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. Please do us a favor. Remember to like and subscribe so that we get to keep doing this and so that I can eventually one day, just maybe, afford one of these.